Are we up and on? We're up and on. We're up and on. Up and on, rapping on. Let's get the people in. Jump into the chat. Jump into the comments. Jump into the spirit of Grand Tactician with me. Bang 60s. Hello. Welcome. We're gonna get this thing going here momentarily. It's funny, I always tend toward a southern accent when I'm doing this game, even though I'm playing the Yankees. Here, Mason Jarney beer. In hand. Ready to go. A couple of things to prepare right here before we launch on this little live stream adventure all together tonight. So excited to be back. Welcome on in, guys. YouTube fans, friends, new recruits, veterans to the channel. You guys are the best. Do me a favor. Hit that thumbs up button. Hype video for me. Subscribe to the channel. Hey, by the way, let's do a quick pitch for this. Why don't we? Why don't we? Why don't we? You ever thought about becoming a member? You come by quite a lot. We do have a couple loyal fans, folks who've been following the channel for some time, following this campaign in particular for some time. Been willing to pitch in a couple of bucks a month. Hey, man. I love it. That's great. The other thing, become a member. Then, if you want to go with me on it, we may make some changes. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with it. I may change the number, the dollar number. We'll see. But my grognard level membership, right now it's 20 bucks a month, okay? So I priced that a certain way because I don't know if I'm ready to commit quite yet, all right? So that's why. But for I think there are a select number of you fellas out there who might be champing at the bit to take a crack at your old boy right here in multiplayer. Likely in Scourge of War, our other favorite game that we get to, this being Grand Tactician, one of our prime favorites on the channel. Doesn't allow multiplayer, but Scourge of War does. And if you are keen, my friend, I think we might be able to come to an arrangement. And I want to devote some time to this, but I'll need your feedback first, okay? Comments in the chat, talk to me. $20 a month. I'm going to keep it there. I'm going to see what kind of participation we get in the coming months. It's going to be slow going, I know that. But what we'll do is 20 bucks grognard level membership gets you the ability to do a 1v1 against me in Scourge of War sandbox game, probably core v core. Or if $20 is going to be worth more of an army v army kind of a situation, we'll see what we can do. I'm not sure the sandbox scenarios really allow for an army v army thing. 4 hours of combat with that many troops. I'm not sure. I think it might have to be a core v core. But you win, you get your money back. I win, you keep the membership for a month, and then you can cancel it the next month if you want to. That's what I'm thinking about doing. But there you have it. A long way of saying, nice little pitch and wrap it up. Please, if you want to support the channel's growth even more, become a member. And I thank you ahead of time. For now, it's time to jump right on back in to what we've been up to here in game as the Union, as the Lincolnites, my friends. Well, I'm a little bit geeked for this playthrough tonight, for this stream, y'all. We just got done with the battle. Won it again. All right, and then so I got to tell you, there was a poster on one of my earlier streams who had watched the published version who had me thinking today. I can't remember the poster's name, but they brought up the fact that one big complaint about the game and its AI underperforming is the fact that the AI doesn't enlist as much artillery as it should. And I did not know before I was, as they'd say, today years old, when I learned that a common, kind of across the board gripe about the game is that the AI does not do a good enough job recruiting artillery. And that one thing you can do to fix it, and there's a guy you got to credit, Great Scots, come before me, has done a lot of work, a multitude of work on this game, and so credit goes to him for putting together a guide on how you can switch sides by modifying some of the in-game files quickly over to the opposite side to change a little bit of the way they're recruiting. I can't do it. I can't do it. In my mind, I don't want to know what their troop strengths are. I don't want to know the details about where they are exactly. For instance, this army, I'm not sure exactly where it is. This army, I'm not sure exactly where it is. There's 2 armies that have been retreating in Arkansas. I'm not sure exactly where. I want to preserve the fog of war from my perspective of the game. I am a stickler and a weirdo. I cannot, it's like an actor breaking the fourth wall, or I don't know. Come up with your own metaphor, I guess. But I can't do the thing where you switch to the other side. What I think I will do is, I think from here on, I will probably focus less on recruiting a whole lot of artillery. I started to do that because I noticed that my production of artillery pieces was through the roof. Let's take a look at that real quick. I think did I bring it up automatically? Okay. So you can see here, production of artillery pieces is like 200, so 161, 267, 77 to do, 300, 284, 239, 234, 317. So we're like, over 2,000. Oh no, that's the Confederacy. That's the Confederacy. So go figure. So to the point of the discussion about this, the Confederates are certainly producing enough 6-pound field guns in order to fill up its armies with as much that it is a little bit odd that we are seeing Confederate armies that have, let's look at Magruder's Corps, reported to have only 10 artillery pieces in the Corps, okay? Where we were fighting against Johnson and Buckner here, now they were damaged pretty badly. 15 guns left out of 30 arriving on the field. Johnson, 5 guns left, and I think he brought 10 to the field. And then you got the Army of Tennessee right here. What do they got? What do they got? 15 guns? Okay, so, all right. Now, here's one where, okay, now this army right here, right there, 8,500 men and 15 guns. That's, at least that's a division with a couple batteries, few batteries of artillery in support. Even for the Confederates, not bad. So here was the other thing I was going to say about it, okay? And let's just check this one for the old shits and giggles, okay? 3,000 men and 15 guns, says my intel, okay? Here's the other thing I was going to say about it. Notwithstanding this group of Confederate troops right here, is that I don't know, like the AI is really sophisticated. It's beyond me, right? I don't understand the inner workings of the way that the AI system was written. I haven't watched all of Great Scott's material about that. But at the same time, he also did not develop the actual game itself. So I'm more willing to lean back on the vanilla game makers, like I've said, to believe that they have put together a more intuitive AI system than perhaps we give it credit for. Let me explain a little bit further here. I didn't necessarily intend to go on this discussion tangent when we got into this here, but I think that it's an interesting topic to explore a little bit further. So, okay, this army here, if they have so many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cannon available to bring into new batteries, I just have a hard time believing that this army would only have 10. I'm going to say that my intel is probably not the best there and that they might have more than that. We'll find out if that's absolutely not the case. One thing I will say, of course, leaning into just right off the bat, you will, if you've gone back and seen some of the recent videos and the recent streams, I would recommend you go check those out, by the way. You will have noticed that in many of the recent battles, I have held, pretty much through all of 1862 here in game, I have held the advantage in artillery, and significantly so, in just about every battle. So there is that. Now, I was going to try, without knowing anything about it, to explain what the AI might be up to, because I think that the Confederate AI player or human player maybe has to think about its artillery differently over the longer term than the Union player does, maybe, number one, because I believe anyway that as the war goes on, the Confederacy will not be able to produce art at this rate for all that long. If we take, for instance, Decatur, Alabama, 300 pieces go away. If we take Tuscaloosa or Corinth, Memphis, Corinth, that's going to knock out that many hundreds of artillery pieces that the Confederates won't have. So, you'd think to yourself, well, they should recruit them while they got them, right? Well, I would say also this: most of the war has been fought in this game, in this playthrough, over here, largely in this part of the map. Okay, and what I would say about that is I think there's a chance that the AI's brain is telling it that in this terrain, from a campaign perspective, the AI may not be smart and intuitive enough to transfer its campaign thinking brain into its tactical thinking brain for the battles. And maybe that's where there's like a disconnect. But the campaign thinking brain, if you thought about it like this, artillery is not all that useful. Field artillery, mind you, is not as useful in large amounts in this heavily wooded and mountainous terrain. So there's that. And if you were a smaller army with less artillery and you wanted to cause problems, you head for the hills and you fight in terrain like this. Now, the other thing is, I've noticed that with my armies that have a ton of artillery with them, it sure seems like when they're on the march, they go slower. Now, I got to look in the manual and I got to confirm this. And it would take too long to do it right now. I would. And if anybody wants to check me on it right now, they can. It would make sense to me, though, if they had built intuitively into the game engine a system that slows your army down when it's moving with a heavy load of artillery as part of the column. That would make sense to me. So perhaps in the AI's brain, it makes good sense to limit the amount of artillery for the sake of the speed that your armies and corps are able to move. So those are two things that come to mind that I'm not sure anybody's thought of from a genuine tactics perspective. I mean, the AI might be thinking, and we're not giving it enough credit for what it's thinking. I'm not sure, but those are two things that come to mind for me. I would be putting more artillery than the AI, like in the Confederate armies, than the AI has been putting. So that's fair enough. And my armies have been outweighing them very heavily in artillery. But again, what I want to give the AI credit for is the possibility that it may be thinking about these things from the campaign perspective. My armies move faster. We're fighting in heavily wooded mountainous terrain. What good is really artillery going to do for us in that terrain anyway? Maybe that's what the AI is built to think. I'm not sure. Now, obviously the thing that, if Magruder's Corps really does only have 10 cannons, then that kind of puts all of that poof and turns it into nothingness. So we'll just kind of track that. I'm not going to switch over and be the Confederates. For now, I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of pump the brakes a little bit on my own artillery recruitment, and I'll maybe, do the best I can to hold back an artillery reserve during tactical battles, and not lean too much into that tactical advantage as we move ahead here. So we had just wrapped up this battle. I'll call it the Battle of Greenwood Heights, where Buckner and Johnson wanted to escape into the Shenandoah Valley and knock the Army of the Potomac back across into Maryland, but they were unsuccessful in that attempt. We are in the process of moving Wool's Corps south. Very good, very good. And, okay, this was the next thing that I wanted to take care of, by the way. We don't have a whole lot more. What's McClellan up to here? Army of Kentucky has made its way further south and west of Munfordville. Right near the depot there. Good. These boys are digging in. See, these guys don't have any guns. This army's got 82. Let's transfer some artillery. That's Getty's brigade. Yeah. So let's take Graham's guns. Let's put them in there. Let's give him some cavalry. How many men does Gibbs have? Over 3,000. Wow, okay, yeah. We'll give him Averill. This will take 3 days. 3 days, okay. This is an artillery-heavy army, I gotta say. 70 pieces with 10,000 men. So that's what I'm talking about. Pretty sure that makes the armies go slower. Can't say I know that. Pretty sure, though. What do we have here? For concurrence on the stream here tonight, on Friday. Everybody is in. We having a good time. We having a good time. Hey, okay, we helped ourselves Navy upkeep there. Big time. Wow, I'm actually, that was like over 200 million at one point. Not making as much on tariffs now. We're going to keep them at the same rate, though. All right, so what I really was interested in doing here was to go through our military and get to the Army of the Potomac. And we need to just kind of get through here and look at some, possible accommodations. This is a pretty wrecked army on the whole. Wessel's Corps especially. Probably need to start combining some brigades. Baker and Ward. Baker with 3 stars. He's a brigadier general who's waiting to be a division commander. I just know it. But having really qualified brigade commanders is a good thing. Ward. What's he at now? Initiative, leadership, 1, 2. Cunning is 1. Baker. So he's kind of the same, and he's a little bit more famous. Let's combine them. Baker stays. Butterfield and Hunt. Okay, they're good. Plummer and Bolin under Sumner. This other Ward, why don't we combine him? Yeah, let's combine him with... Oh, and these guys are 2 stars now? Here. This changes. Where they have Bing Bong. Bolin is 2 stars. Ward. So let's go Bing. Oh, we can't do it. We got to do Plummer. Okay. And now he's got 1133. Colonel Joseph Plummer gets promoted to Brigadier General with 2 stars. This guy's good. How good is he really? Oh, man. 2 and 2. 2 and 2. Hunter Tay! When you create a new unit, what affects the time it takes for them to arrive? Is it where they're mustered versus where the army is they are joining? Does it increase the more you recruit at once? Yeah. The answer to basically all those questions is yes. When you go to recruit a new unit, let's just say I'm going to do a new brigade, and you have the army in Pennsylvania or West Virginia, like where I've had many of my Eastern armies, and you get a unit from California, it's going to take them that much longer. Now, I don't know the numbers on that. I don't know the specifics. It's going to take them that much longer to get to your army. So that goes back to my point about the intuitiveness of the AI systems and of the game system itself that they put together here. Like, I got to give credit to the makers of the game about just how complex of a simulation that they've put together here. They thought of this, where if you're going to recruit troops from California, you better believe in real life you'd have to wait a good long time for them to get their happy asses over to where your mustering grounds are. That is the case in the game, yes. So, you've got an army that's in Pennsylvania, West Virginia. You're probably going to be feeding it troops from Ohio, Pennsylvania, the Northeast, New York. I mean, troops could make it there from a lot of places in the Union fairly quickly, but you're not going to be bringing in troops from Iowa, Missouri, Minnesota, probably not even Illinois, and stuff like that. So yes. Steele. Steele deserves to be promoted to Major General. He's been rising through the ranks. Well, look at him with a 2-3 now. Colts Brigade under Steele with Terrell, both at 700 plus. I think we're going to have to keep them as is. Both are solid. This guy Terrell may be a division commander at some point. He's an artillery guy, though. Anybody who's disgraced. That was another thing I was kind of looking for. Hayes' stock is kind of going down. He hasn't had... His whole division really hasn't had a chance to prove itself at all. Fremont, very famous, but he seems to be degrading as well. Runyon, he deserves Corps Command, but if he underperforms at any point, he may get kicked in favor of, maybe Plummer, Bolin, Butterfield, or Baker. So these two division commanders and this corps commander are all kind of, you could say maybe a little bit on thin ice right here. Nobody's dishonored or anything like that, so that's good. Of course, you got Gibbon. That's a strong brigade. Boom, boom, boom. No dishonorees. And then the other one was kind of come in here and understand who's who, right? And that's why I've got it on the commander tab. So Butterfield, Plummer, wow, Duryea is good. Gibbon's solid. Ooh, okay. Welsh. Stock is dropping. Oh, here we go. Haskin. Captain Haskin. Let's promote him to Major. He might be able to command a larger artillery formation at some point. Same with this William Hayes. Captain Thomas Sherman. Yeah, all of these guys right here. So we got some competent dudes in the Army of the Potomac right here. Look into in the same way. So I think these have all been combined and stuff. This is a teeny tiny brigade. Brooks. Solid. Tyler. Maybe time to... He's got 2 stars of experience, and that helps his guys. What's this little thing in the lower right? I don't know what that is. What that is. Quinby. Oh, my word. Okay. Maybe he's not so good. Maybe he's gotten himself in trouble in camp lately. Truman Seymour. Let's do it. Scribner. He's fine. Humphreys. He's been a stalwart. Day. Porter. Andrew Porter. Negley. Wow. All these guys kind of starting to suck. Edward Ord. His stock. Ord is good. Grant, of course. Super famous brigadier general. He'll have to command a division at some point. Hunter. Are we in a position where maybe it's time that Grant uses his fame and his connections? Is it time Grant gets replaced by Joseph Whistler, and then Hunter gets replaced by Grant? I think so. In the Army of Northeastern Virginia. I like this move. I like this move a lot. All right, let's check these commanders. Let's make sure nobody is disgraced. All right, these guys are solid. These guys are solid. Good, good, good. So Ord, Grant, Hancock, Keyes, Sherman, and Crook. Then you got Wool and McDowell solid. Right? So that's kind of who's who in this army, with Charles F. Smith, of course, as the top guy. 21,000 men, 125 guns. Fourth Corps went back. Okay. Oh, no. I had it upside down. That's getting scary. That happens too often. Holy smokes. Okay. Okay. Okay, Carlton's cavalry is going to get closer right here. Let's do a little 4C. We're going to guard this area. Keep Winchester. Let's take the Army headquarters. Let's bring it down by rail. We are patrolling right here, yes. By the way, did patrol change in-game? I wonder about that. I gotta read up on that. I always remember that when you patrolled before, like the ship would go up and then down and then up. But now I wonder if it just reacts within its radius or something. That would make sense anyway. 5 concurrents on the stream. Thank you for being here. Army of the Mississippi. So this is one that's only got 25 guns with it, right? I think we left a bunch of them in here. Several of them anyway. So with this one, I'm going to go against what I said just a tad, and we're going to add a little bit of artillery right here. We're going to bring it in from Illinois. We're going to bring in a mid-sized unit. Dunk, dunk. Do it. And then I'm thinking I'd love to go ahead and just march on Memphis, but I feel like we'd need to do it in a coordinated way, where we have the Army of Kentucky move to Nashville first, or rather Clarksville and then Nashville, and then move here. That way we've got this whole rail line covered. Other part is adding reinforcements to the armies. Now, we didn't do the who's who up with the Army of North Virginia. Got to do it. This is our biggest army on the campaign map. We know, okay, Isaac Stevens. Maybe not so great. Maybe not so great. Solid commanders, except for French there, not so great. Bryce, ooh, as a division commander, not doing so hot. Stockton and Abbott, Burns, pretty good. Alcott, not so much. Smith, yeah. All right, Hamilton, a colonel. Let's make him a brigadier general. Colonel Nathan Dudley, Emory, how about you? Golly, kind of just solid. These guys are just blah. Very famous general who's not all that good, Colonel John McClernand. Let's promote him. Colonel James Jackson. Don Carlos Buell with 3 stars. I think he deserves a division command. He won't get passed over his own division commander. But within the Corps, so Buell, let's replace him real quick with a brigadier general. Let's make David Hunter a brigadier general again of an actual brigade. And then we'll take Alcock out. Don Carlos Buell is in as division commander. Buell's been one of my better commanders out here in the East throughout this campaign. At least this part of it. That's been kind of interesting. Wouldn't have expected a thing like that. Also, so let's... I was also going to look... If I were to add some troops... If I were to add some troops here... What am I working with? 9,000 in Massachusetts. 3,800 in Minnesota. 4,100 in New Jersey. 2,100 in New York. Ohio and Oregon. Okay. Vermont and West Virginia. Colorado. Okay. And New Mexico. Interesting. All right. So we don't have Massachusetts. We don't have many troops in from Massachusetts. So let's bring in some new cavalry from Massachusetts to join Stevens' Corps of the Army of North Virginia. 27 days for that. Keim has a 1,000 cavalry contingent. We'll do one more for Williams' Corps. We'll bring them from Massachusetts as well. Cavalry. 1,250 is better. I like 24-month volunteers. Support is 94 still. Excelente. I like that uniform for them. Let's do it. New cavalry brigade there. That's what I wanted to add a little bit more of. So take it easy on artillery. Switch it over and get some more cavalry. While we got Carleton's cavalry here. Now, it is odd to me that they're still fighting here, but they are. Got Carleton's cavalry, but I would like for these guys. Well, we can't mess with them until they're done fighting. Okay. Might do the 4th and 3rd Corps here. Let's do Wool's Corps. How many men does Carr have? 993. Okay, let's do New Jersey Cav. 1,250. Good. Good. Get it. Okay. And then there will be oh, yeah, we could probably take Prince and Scammon and put them together. Okay. You got Elliott 216. He's just kind of a cavalry attachment to the army, I guess. There. Here. Okay, so we won't have a whole lot more troops that we can recruit. Since we are saving... Oh, wow, okay, Navy upkeep went up to 188. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. All right. I got it. I was thinking we'd begin building a coastal force again. Do a new army. But before I look at that, who do we have that could command it? John W. Davidson, Heinzelman. Heinzelman could do it. It's just that none of them are that good. Veal, he did pretty good at the delaying action in West Virginia. So, maybe we'll do with him. Maybe we do it with him. Not ready to make that move just yet. Not ready to do it. Appreciate all the questions that you guys raised, both in the comments, on chat, during live streams. Appreciate you for jumping in with some participation. That's what it is all about right here. You guys are the best. Better than the rest. So we're looking a little better. Army of North Virginia is going to be ready to steamroll soon enough. Here we go. Johnson and Buckner are going to turn tail and run back to Grafton, I expect. Could send Carleton's cavalry raiding. Chase them off. Force march all the way, get on the offensive. Let's go. And it'd be good to get Carleton's cavalry out there anyway. Kind of out ahead of the army. A lot of Rebs kind of hemming themselves into West Virginia here. I think that's one thing about the AI strategy that is interesting thus far. I mean, they've been real stubborn. They've been real stubborn staying up around here. They've not let up on that. All right. Are we there yet? Not quite. Oh. We're getting close. We're getting close. What do we got here? Army of West Tennessee. So we got 17,000 men. It says. Let's get this thing on green. Fill it up. Fill it up. Let's build a telegraph line down here. I think these are pretty cheap. My expectation is that at some point we need to go take Batesville and hold and lock it down, most likely. All right, double B minus. There we go. God dang it. How is our blockade? Ratio is 1%. Hampton is 51% efficiency. Oh, okay. Huh. Raids? Oh, right. One POW camp. Okay. Economy alerts. Economy production versus coffee production, flour production versus demand. Interesting. Food I've never really taken a close look at this before. I've never used the map filters to evaluate construction sites for new production companies. Ineffective companies. Manufactories in Vermont, New York. Check companies for missing pre-goods and use the map filters to detect transport bottlenecks. Left mouse button to browse to the related map locations. Check the symbol next to the building IAP symbol to obtain further info. Yeah, so we've had this. So the economy alerts that we've had going, this has been for months and months and months. Use the map filters to evaluate construction sites for new production companies. So transport bottlenecks. Manufactories. Okay. Consumption and production. Okay. So what is their alarm? Cost of pre-goods for this company are approximately 18 million, while the produced goods are worth 18 million. Look, that's right on the edge. Transport bottlenecks aren't the problem. Market influences. See, this is where we built some markets. Get goods moving offshore. Yeah, we got a good one there. I thought we were building another hospital up here. Guess not. Shortages and oversupply. Oh, wow. Wool, cotton, salt. What is this? We're short on wool. Crops. We got tons of wood. Short on wool, crops, cotton. Wow. Okay. Wow. And look out here. Crops, crops, crops. Wool, 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 wool. Well, why don't we ship that stuff? Why don't we ship that stuff east? By God. I'll tell you something. I'm this close. I'm this close to spending a little time in the stream, opening up the manual, and learning more about the economy in the game. Because I feel like if we're short crops and wool over here, we should be able to send it from over here. And if we're short wood, salt, I mean, we don't, cotton we're going to have to get from somewhere else. And that's just how it is. But, yeah, I'm not quite sure. Let me thing is, I won't be able to bring it up on screen right away. But that is very interesting. Rice, sugar, tobacco, wood, fertility, crops. Yeah, we're good. Workforce, right? Here's where we don't have much. Love to get the workforce of Tennessee and West Virginia. And down here around Memphis, too. Intelligence. Not great. Kind of like mine. All right. Got an eye on them. Good. Fine. Let's scout now. Defensive. And now we will chill. Left wing. 15,000 men, 49 guns. I wonder if we could bump the Army of Tennessee out of here. Attack stance, yes. Guard supplies. And let's move down this way. See if we bump the Army of Tennessee or if they fight. Might have a battle after all here. Sooner rather than later, November. It's getting cold out there. It's getting cold out there. I'm telling you right now, I think I may do it. Let's do this. Let's bring up this. Let's do this. Right? Boom, there we go. All right, sweet. Need to boom, add that right here. Let's take a look. I just have to look at this, okay? So I am going to go to the manual. I'm going to read this shiz. I'm going to try to get this right using the manual. All right, that's what I'm going to do right here. Let's make sure the game gets paused. Boop. We don't want to. We don't want there to be any disasters. Okay, so let's go to the manual. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It gave me an alert about OBS being disconnected. Oh, good. Whew. I think we're good. I think we're good. I think we're good. All right. So we need to go all the way. General rules, military, army orders, delays, third school of battle. No. Perks for ships advanced. Local files, for, engineer corps organization. Campaign, starting new campaign, historical battle, save game, custom commanders, what controls your economy. Lesson 2. Policy project, military. Okay, so I'm going to go through some of this right here. Economy in a nutshell. Okay. So, real economy order for players, the main population, infrastructure, production, trade, citizens, Grand Tactician, game drive, cities, number of prisons, color under the sea, the coin, kinds of the city show relative importance of the city, the nation. Attract more people to move there. It's interesting. Available workforce shows how many available jobs the city's region can be filled with workers if this value is low. Yep, we noticed that. Notice recruitment to private wealth generated by lucrative trade in the region. Revenue. Basic principle of trade is demand and supply and logistics. Demand creates the incentive to produce goods. To produce goods when sold will create profits for the supplier, making the business lucrative, increasing wealth. A large city requires a lot of food. In this case, the source of demand is the city on the campaign map, and the demand is for food. The higher the demand, the higher price the citizens are willing to pay for the food. Food is produced in factories. Factories also produce other goods like clothing and machine parts. Privately owned factories will try to maximize the profits in the American free market economy. Factories require it gets more complicated when logistics is added into the equation. For example, flour is produced in mills and require crops that are grown in farms. Farms are in areas where fertility of the soil is good for growing crops, so there's sufficient availability of free workforce to work in the farms. The grown crops need to be transported to the mill. The produced flour needs to be transported to the factory, and the produced food needs to be transported to the city. The logistics to carry these goods from a point of supply, like the farm, to a point of demand, like the mill, and Grand Tactician are represented in the campaign as important infrastructure points, IIPs that are towns, ports, bridges, etc., connect to one another via railroads, canals, rivers, or sea lines, creating lines of communication. Now, okay, so what were we looking at? Shortages and oversupply. All right? So we've got all kinds of stuff out here. It was telling us to look at the map filters to figure out, and by the way, we want to get back to here and make sure that you can see this. Oversupply is all out here. Crops and wool. And we need it to get over here. And so our transport bottlenecks appear to be through here, all through here. So what are maybe there's a railroad we should build. Indiana, Louisville, and Fort Wayne. Ah, interesting. Okay. We do that. That helps get everything up to Lake Erie and over. Ooh, now we're thinking. Now we're thinking. Okay. Davenport and Omaha, we don't need to worry about that, I don't think. That may be a good one to do. Minnesota and Chicago. What is this one? Okay, we don't have a ton of stuff to move from up there to there. So what about this Davenport? Oh, my. Oh, okay. This one could be useful. Yeah, we don't seem to have a ton of east-west railroads. We don't have that one yet? I see a railroad there. I see a railroad along here too. Oh, I think that may be something to do with... Okay, so... I think we found a place where maybe my game has kind of been in conflict with the way that they've updated things. It's possible. I never built any of these railroads in game, but I think when I reopened my game, my old campaign game from when they, near to when they released the Grand Tactician game as a whole, that they added several of the railroads. Like, it looks like they're there, but they're not really there. So, interesting. The Ohio and Missouri. So this one isn't there. Okay, so that one's not there. But boy, that sure looks like it would be a good one, though. Ohio and Missouri. Ooh, yeah. Where are the transport bottlenecks? So I think that would help us out quite a bit. Do that. And then the Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. Ooh, yeah. Ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah, ooh, yeah. Okay, let's do that. The Ohio and Missouri. The more railroads are constructed simultaneously, the slower the construction progress for all railroads. Construction cannot be canceled. We do have the building of the Transcontinental Railroad that'll help us do this faster. So let's do this one. And let's do this one. Boom. Get your railroad infrastructure going, right? Bing, bang, boom. I'm gonna hope that will help us with our shortages out here, so we can get all of this moving east. And I'm going to hope that does the trick for us. Maybe that makes a nice little topic for a video, and I'll just kind of go through that. Let's see here. Let's actually pause again. Let's bring up... Let's bring up the manual again. The IIPs buy and sell goods to other linked IIPs and linked industries or trade nodes depending on the price and transport capacity. Goods that are in higher demand, meaning a higher profit margin, are bought and sold with priority. As the infrastructure matrix has many bottlenecks and transport capacity is limited, all the produced goods are not flowing from A to B with equal speed. All this combined means the economy in the game, like in the real world, is fluctuating. But the changes are not instant. The economy will take some time to adjust to changes in demand and supply. In the above example, let's assume the flow of crops from the farm to the mill and on to the factory and the city is profitable business. This is what we hope for in our campaign example, right? Everyone is making a good profit. The farm, the mill, the factory, as well as the transporting companies along the logistical lines. Business is good and will remain stable. Now, let's assume that due to some change in the economic system, the city in question starts receiving food for cheaper prices from another source. Our factory will now make less profit from selling food. To compensate this and to keep the business profitable, the factory will buy flour only if the price is low enough. This is what I'm talking about. They wrote this all in the game. This is what I'm talking about. The mill and the farm will be in trouble as transportation costs are unaffected, but their products are no longer reaping earlier rewards. As selling crops is now less profitable to the farm, it may switch production from crops to livestock if the latter is higher demand and more lucrative business opportunities. This will take time, of course. The factory may also switch production to something more profitable. The mill can no longer buy cheap crops, so they probably reduce personnel and production numbers to maintain some profitability. As demand for flour and crops in the IIPs that move the goods is reduced, the flow of these goods will become slower as other more profitable goods take the priority. Wow. This is but an example of one situation on the campaign map. There are hundreds of IIPs, industries, cities, trade nodes. The resulting matrix is complex. What can be done to affect the markets and to steer the economy in a direction which is more favorable to your war effort? The following lessons will describe the economy piece by piece, including the tools available. The infrastructure points. So I think what I'm going to do is probably devote a whole video episode to exploring some of this stuff in more detail, and I bet you I'll be learning along the way too. Is kind of what I'm thinking. So we'll do that at another time. For now, we're gonna do what we feel is our best right there, and let that be that. Whoa! Winter takes hold in the east. Wow. And it may be time. Yes! Improve credit rating, please. Thank you. By the way, let's do our economy report. I think this is still bogus. Our tax rate, 0 buildings, 1.2. All those numbers seem the same. It still says AAA. I don't understand. Is that baked in because of my presets, I wonder? Is this like a true credit rating versus what the game really says about my credit rating? Is that maybe what that's about? I wonder. I do. Let's get to it, boys. Let's get to it. We got Thomas Williams Corps on the move. About 14,000 troops right here. Gather up, men. We got snowy March ahead of us. Let's go. There they go. Army of Tennessee is going to move on south. That's a smart move by them, I think. I do. The left wing stopped. Okay. Well, I'd still like them to come to here. Force the march. Let's go. It'll take them 30 hours to get that set of orders. Good dang it. What happened to our telegraph line, for crying out loud? So, still got Hood and Beauregard somewhere down in here. I think it's about time. Coming up. I don't know. Eager to possibly make a move. I feel like the Army of the Potomac is going to get squished out here. if we don't do something with it. Well, so here they come back north again. Huh. Huh. Center wing's in good shape. What do they got? Man, they don't stand a chance. Let's get this center wing to come over here too. More fighting in West Virginia. We've had a lot of fans of the fighting in West Virginia tonight, man. That's pretty great. Do a little start-stop on the recording there. All right, next thing was, let's get down here. We still have this fleet, which is still waiting on coal. They already have supply colliers, right? Why don't they have any coal? Steam engines need fuel, wood, or coal. Consumption is low when the fleet is stationary. When fuel runs low, the fleet will need to return to port to resupply. Okay. Do we need a bigger port? It's a level 2 port. They're going to be on patrol, dang it. So let's look at this. I don't see a blockade effectiveness here. That's something I'd love to learn more about. That's something I'd love to learn more about. They are blockading. Blockade status. Here we go. Blockaded by 40% through blockades and raid. Oh, they're losing $24 million in tax revenue because of this? Wow. I did not know this. What about this? What about this? 2. Okay. What about this? 28? Wow. Wow. How about this one? This one's bad. 28. How about in the Gulf? Love looking at this. I'm kind of learning stuff about it here. Mobile blockaded. 25%. This will be Pascagoula. 25%. Nolens. This is cool to learn about. 25%. Okay. Very cool. All right, that's cool. I didn't know about that. All right, so what about Memphis over here? 48%. Bingo. Okay, let's build telegraph lines down here, shall we? Right there. Army of the Mississippi's got a perk. Hey! What do we have so far? Skilled cartographers, flying column, and yes, ambulance corps. Thank you. Need to do that. Wow, once again, these guys decide not to move. Huh. Interesting. Not sure about that. Not sure about that. Maybe the AI is thinking a little too much for itself. What's our garrison here in Fort Archer again? I forget. Okay, about 3,100 men, 20 guns. Yeah, none of my armies really is big enough. Oh, here they go. At least one of them. Yeah, Williams, he stopped again. What are you doing? All right, fine. Let's put you in a defensive stance. Let's have you scout. Let's have you come to here. Please. Force the march. Go. Now go. Go now. Go now. All right. So that's the work we're going to do on the economy, right? Back to double B plus. Print notes number 2. I think we may do this. Nah, we're not. Lowering public wealth. Gosh darn it. Legal blockade. What is this again? I forgot. Pass an act proclaiming that the Union blockade of the South is legal and that any attempts to breach the blockade will be considered hostile acts subject to retaliation. Okay. Yep, still don't want to do that. Still don't want to do that. It's a wartime measure. It is what it is. We could get into a little bit more diplomacy, though. Maximum amount of annual diplomacy. Yeah, okay. That just increases the amount of money we can spend on diplomacy. That might not be a bad thing for us to do right there. Because we're not spending too much. And the more we get in diplomacy, the more we could unlock all of this good stuff right here. Could be good. What other projects do we have here? Subsidized agriculture. Corn is king. Farm mechanization. We already got that level 1. Railroad construction. Construction of new railroads requires a lot of resources and labor. Finance the railroad engineers and increase immigration of cheap manpower for labor, especially from China and Ireland. Each level of this project further increases the speed of constructing new railroad lines. This, I would say, is one we should do. This uses what kind of subsidy funding? Politics? Okay. So, railroad construction. Bingo. Let's do that. We don't care about suppressing. Yeah, we don't do that. Okay. So I'm going to bring in some immigrants. I'm going to bring in some immigrants to work on the railroad. I'll be working on the railroad all the live long day. I'll be working on the railroad just to pass the time away. You can see where it's stormy and snowy, I think, there. I like that. Or maybe not. Maybe that's nothing. I swear to God, the map just looks like brighter white in some areas. 6 concurrents on the stream. Welcome in. I've been so jazzed up tonight. All right. What else do we have? We can look at. Part of me wants to jump back over to the manual. let's get okay. So we are paused, right? So let's look at this. Place of curse IPs can be blockaded if be captured when IP is no longer rated. Blockade will start to recover. So basically, that's another thing. So all these, this is good. I think we're overnight, so we can push pause and feel okay about it normally. We had a bunch of our IIPs up here. So transport capacity 1.1, condition 100%. Forage, artillery ammunition, small arms ammunition. So that's what's going through there. That's what's going through there. What's another IIP here? Provisions, forage, artillery, small arms. Yep. Okay. So what about one that's like up here? Like up here. Like here. Provisions, forage, artillery, small. What? Okay, so this doesn't show entirely what's the most profitable. As I was reading the manual earlier before, I thought maybe these IIPs would have blockade status not blocked. So a raid would be blocking them and damaging them. Right. But there's no raids anymore. There was a Confederate presence like up here that might have been blocking some of the IIPs that have now recovered. So what is this local supply capacity for this guy? All right, it's only showing those goods. I see. This town, Hollidaysburg, highest demand. Okay. Okay, all right. So let's go back to... Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. All right, let's go back to the... moving the mouse cursor in the IP. The campaign map will show IIP icon. Type IIP in the image. Oh, shoot, okay. Let's go off of this. Off of this. We're still paused, right? So I was looking at IIPs up here. Learning in real time. At local supply capacity for various IIPs right here. And you can kind of see it. But all it shows for each one of them. So highest demand. Best offers. Okay. Okay. Wow, this is where things get really interesting and complex. IIPs, I think, are basically bridges and ferries. Pretty much. Web Snyder Coffee. Best offers. Yeah, okay. And this is kind of all the same. Return coffee weapons. Trades. Okay. Huh. Economy alarm. Rutland. We don't want to look at that again. Montpelier. Cost of pre-goods. Pre-goods are worth... Hey, that's profitable. That's not bad. A bunch. So these manufactories, I think. Yeah. Cost their pre-goods for this company, $2.8 million. Goods are worth $2.9 million per year. Well, hey, that's better. $2.8, $2.8, okay. That's better. They were underwater before. 2.9, 2.9. It's good that we've subsidized economy stuff. This one's underwater a little bit. This one is fine. But this is about workforce, okay. Workforce. 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 All right, so let's go back. Let's go back and look at what it says about workforce. Trade nodes, monthly economy report, finances. Private companies cannot employ enough citizens. Unemployment increases if the private companies cannot employ enough citizens. Let's take a look. What is our unemployment rate right now? What is our unemployment rate right now? 5.4%? Yeah, everybody can get a dang job now. Right? All right. So, military debt production. Okay. In the land of free enterprise, industries dotted around the map are private and not owned by the government. Love that aspect of this game. But the government can pay subsidies to encourage expansion. This can be through upgrading existing industries or attracting new companies. All industries in the game are considered to be large concentrations or complexes. So, okay, your industries will need a workforce. The more workforce there is available, the more effective the production. Slave states will use forced labor, i.e. slaves, depending on the complexity of the production. Plantations, farms, and mines will have the highest use of slave workforce, while heavy industry the lowest. Number of available slave workforce depends on CSA support in the state. Industries can be upgraded by paying subsidies. Depending on industry type, agriculture or industry subsidies requires the goods. Okay. This industry focus for running a large armies demand industry. Farms, plant industries can be captured. Raise. All right, so let's do a control. Can we do a control F for workforce? We've got 313. All right, so let's go up. Up. Fertility of soil is good for sufficient availability of free workforce. Okay, up. It will affect the population in your enemy station. Some acts will improve government funding, will lower private wealth even more. Recruitment will reduce the available workforce. Okay. Okay. So this is kind of what I suspected. I'd mention this without jumping into the manual like this, but I think the fact that I've been recruiting so many guys. For example, a region with many available jobs will attract workforce from regions with higher rates of unemployment and lower private wealth. This migration is slow. Okay, available workforce shows how, here we go. Available jobs in the city's region can be filled with workers. If this value is low, there's a shortage of workers in the region. Notice the recruitment from the state the city is in reduces available workforce. So let's go back and let's take a look at some of this, okay? Let's take a look at some of this. I've been trying, this is one that's kind of been on my mind for a little while. All right, so New York, New York. Where are you? New York. Okay. We have 53% available workforce. Citizens by creating new jobs. Higher population growth leads to higher income tax revenues on the long term. So, and the fielded soldiers reduce workforce by 7.44%. Workforce availability is 53%. What is that about? Brooklyn, 53. Newark, 53. What? What? Hang on a second. All right. Here we go. We're just going to go. We're going to ask Google straight up. Why is my available workforce so low in Grand Tactician? AI. Let's see what AI tells us. Okay, in Grand Tactician, low available workforce usually stems from economic factors like low morale, disrupted supply chains, rivers, railroads, high demand from industries and armies, or poor local infrastructure policies, causing industries. Okay. AI-controlled companies automatically hire workers based on market needs, potentially pulling them from recruitment pools. Raiding enemy forces or even natural blockades. Country hiding industry. I don't think that hurts us. Poor supply, high casualties, or negative policies decrease morale, making people less likely to work or join up. Infrastructure. Lack of canals or railroads makes trade and supply slow, stalling economic growth and workforce availability. Okay, well, we've done something about that. Interesting. Place them strategically to feed your armies and keep the local economy running smoothly. Monitor the morale of your population and armies. Review policies. Use intelligence. Okay. Well, it doesn't answer a ton of our questions about it, but let's go down to, or let's go up to where workforce is. Information as a heat map. So let's go to workforce. We looked at this before. We have low workforce here through all of this, but we have high workforce here. 100%. What is it? What is it that is creating such a low workforce here? Oh, this is in IIP. Okay. Okay. So, did putting markets over here hurt workforce availability? That would be weird. Concord, what about you? %66 workforce available. Where are my markets? Markets. I mean, I'm really not sure. We've got a market up here that's impacting things. It's increasing transportation capacity, I think, of all the IIPs around. Got a market here that's doing the same thing. Worcester, Massachusetts. See, workforce available 23%. What the heck? What the heck? I don't understand that. Hartford, Connecticut. What about that? 61%. New Haven, Connecticut. 44% workforce available. I don't know. I'm maybe gonna have to look more up about that one. That's been an issue my whole campaign game long. This has been a problem, was workforce availability. I wonder if there's a combination of workers going inland So do we have a shortage of workers here? what is this? 24 carats produced goods are worth 54 carats. Why? That's so silly that there's an economy alarm there. Because it is profitable. Farms condition 100%. What is the deal? Goods are worth approximately $20,000 per year. Okay. What? Okay. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more looking behind the scenes, under the hood, so to speak, figure out exactly what's going on there. I don't quite have my finger on that one. Not quite sure what the deal is there. But let's push play. We'll keep the winter going. We'll probably be cutting that out of the final videos for everything. I don't think we really answered many questions there. All right, finally on the move with the left wing here. Finally on the dang move. Army of Tennessee is moving back south again. And that is all fine with me. Runyon's looking good. Wessels is getting better. Part of me wonders if I should build a fort somewhere over there. Okay, we got a depot. How are we doing? 100%, right? About 10,500 men. Let's go ahead and get on all the way down to Bowling Green. With the Army of Kentucky. Very good. Very good indeed. Let's look at the overall strategy here. Okay, so 71% national support is down to 65. Wow. But their national morale is still 71. Okay. I think we're moving into, an inevitable victory. I think. That's what I want to believe. Finishing up the move over here with Army North Virginia. All right, Army headquarters right here. We're going to head to Wheeling. Then we're going to take right wing under Kame and move him into Wheeling. And then I'm likely to push no, I'm not going to split the army just yet. I want to force these Rebs south is what I'd really like to do. Just get them out of West Virginia. We can get that much closer to wrapping up that objective. Oh, what is this? Army of Mississippi with Pickett's Corps. See, okay, right here. Back to our artillery conversation, okay? I see a rebel army of 10,000 men reported to be with 30 guns. That's quite a few guns to have with 10,000 men. Just in general, I would say. I mean, is the AI not good at recruiting artillery? Question mark. I'm still not sure. I'm still not sure. I mean, maybe not as good as a human player would be. Maybe that's for sure. Not as good as a human player would be. So there's that. But the AI is never as good as a human player would be. That's kind of why you give it some, that's why you give it a little leeway, give it a break. See all these cross swords up here with the different battles. It's all been up in here and up here. That's kind of cool. I kind of missed that before. All up and along the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad. So let's see let's do the who's who of the Army of the Mississippi for now. Morrell, not great. Sanford, not great. Robinson is pretty good. So is Cullum. Nagel, pretty solid. Willard with the Cav is Lucas, Colonel William Shaw. Hey, William Bull Nelson. Now, he's the best we've got in the Army of the Mississippi under Cadwalader. And he's not all that good himself. Dillon, not great. So Bull Nelson, he's our best guy in this army. Probably end up with a division at some point, maybe even as commander of the army down the line. We'll see. We shall see. And then the old who's who of the Army of the West. Schenck. Harney and Porter are all still, these guys are pretty famous. Porter and Harney especially. All their brigade commanders are solidish. Ooh, Crittenden. Crittenden's moving up the ranks. I think he'll have to replace somebody at some point. Wallace. William H.L. Wallace. Yeah, W.H.L. Wallace, he was good. Let's promote him. Crittenden and Wallace. Granger has been pretty good. Yeah, all of Porter's division over here. These guys are solid guys. They may end up transferring elsewhere, is what may end up happening with them. Here was something I was planning on doing. And by the way, we're finally in good supply. So that's good. Let's bring the Missouri Cav over. Boom. Let's double time it. And let's go. Let's start I think we may raid. We'll wait until we kind of get over here. I got to refill my NA mason jar, man. Got to get to it. Oh, wow. He's got so many wounded that he's slowed way down because of it. Wow, okay. Well, maybe they aren't so ready to raid. Yeah, I think maybe we're gonna have them halt. And that's fine. We'll have them scout. They need to recover some of their health. Okay. We're at nighttime. We'll go ahead and pause it for right now. I'm going to... Okay. Do hope everybody's enjoying their Friday night. I certainly am. Let's go 5 times. Here we go. We're going to take over Wheeling. We're going to take it over, man. Got them trapped out here in Grafton. So, here's the other thing. So, let's look at our finances right here. Army upkeep. 227. This was above 200. This was above 200. We've brought our expenses down a bit. Is it time to make an adjustment? Interest rates are down. Wow. Nice. The higher the debt, the lower the budget surplus, the worse the rating will be. Better ratings lead to lower interest rates. If ratings are too low, the issuing of debt is not possible anymore. Yes. All right, what does our military intelligence say? According to our intelligence sources announced, Confederate government is currently discussing industrialization 2. Okay. Ironclad gunboats, they've got those now. So they've kind of been focusing in on their naval development here in my game. 0 men, 0 brigades, 2 new ships. So there you go, that. Confederate Army morale 68%. He is mostly defending his land. Okay. Now, has this changed? Now we have an economy report that makes some sense. All right. The current rating of our nation, WB+, which is mediocre. Our debt increased by abilities amount to $1.3 billion. Okay. Economic cycle contraction. The wealth for our population is below average and increasing compared to the previous month. That's good. I think before we were like very poor. Our tax revenues increased. Nice. 0 buildings constructed. Total export volume, 2.3. Imports, 4 billion. Average corporate production, 574 million, which was up 28 million. Interesting. We have gold in abundance. I think there's a chance. So what is the impact of gold? That's a question. That may be a question for Google. Let's go. What's the impact of gold in Grand Tactician? Gold functions as the primary government currency, which is crucial for managing the national economy, funding military operations, and maintaining international credit. It's essential for ensuring your nation can purchase necessary... Blah, 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 blah. Gold is used to pay for Army and Navy upkeep, including soldier wages and the maintenance costs of units, buildings, and infrastructure. Used to suffers limiting your ability to recruit new troops. Yeah. Yeah. Maintain healthy gold reserve and budget surplus improves your nation's credit rating, which is vital for securing foreign loans. Oh, you know. Now this is interesting. Okay. More economic stuff, right? So I talked about this one in the last stream. So again, for this playthrough, I did go west, and more importantly, Union Pacific Railroad is active. The Transcontinental has been built, right? Transport capacity and construction speed 25% up, or is it this one? Trade capacity, Santa Fe and Oregon Trails doubled, so there is that, plus this here. We have 0.1 pieces of gold that got traded through here. Goods in stock, 1.9 million pieces of gold. Is that right? So, goods and trade. Let's look at that. And gold. Production, 2.25 M. Wow. Gold's value is at nothing, I guess. Here, let's take this off. Average price for the Confederacy, $6.61 for the Union. Okay, I see. So it was up over 800 back in a year ago. Really? Wow. We produced 2.25 million pieces of gold. The amount of pieces of the selected product that is currently floating in markets and stored in supply depots. Really? Exports to Confederacy. Exports to Great Britain. $25 million. We bring in imports from Great Britain. Imported gold. Niter, gunpowder, steel. France. Offer for gold is low. They don't need it. Various trading partners. 1.7 million. Interesting. We export gold to the Confederacy? What? We don't want to do that. What? What are we doing that for? We got Confederate sympathizers sending their gold south. Is that what's going on right here? That's some boosh. That's some boosh. Booshy. Bullshark is former coworker would say. So I'm not quite sure I fully understand how gold is helping me, but I'm making that freaking much of it. Demand is low right now, but I have it. I wonder if you can stockpile it, right? Like, I don't know how you'd find where all the gold is. But since I have that much gold coming in, I am going to say that I might feel confident. I might feel confident taking a look at policies. And doing bounties. This act will allow government funding to states so that recruitment bounties can be offered to volunteers. These payments will attract more volunteers to the ranks at an increased cost. The morale of serving veterans will be damaged and desertions will increase. Number of volunteers will be added, but their morale will be lower. We did do emancipation, and we'll be on that in about 5 days. +5 support because of that. Okay. The Enrollment Act is conscription. We're just not ready for that. Militia Act 4. What'll this do? An act that changes the contract length of new volunteer units to 36 months or the duration of the war. Contracts will be nullified when the war ends. These contracts allow units to remain in the Army long enough to be effective in battle. Recruitment quotas are also increased. So, if we wanted to bring one more wave of troops in, we might click off of this and click onto this. Military Act 4. We need to do this. We need another influx of troops. I believe we're going to be able to afford to expand 2 of our weaker armies. So let's work on this right here. Okay. Okay. Who is it? Ord? I think there's a chance we could go. Ord gets replaced by Colonel Charles Whiting. Hancock gets replaced by Ord. Ord then gets promoted. And he'll have to prove himself in division command. We then form a new corps under Hancock. Glad to have it go automatically to Hancock. Excellent. Okay. We're going to do a little bit of this. So Grant will move to Hancock. Hancock will also get we'll go with, we need to make one of these generals available. Or could we do a new division under another major general, John Davidson? Let's do Davidson. Let's add 2 new infantry brigades. Pennsylvania is still feeding us the most troops. This is kind of crazy. Or no, New York, as was the case in the real deal. So we'll give the Army another brigade of 2,200 men. And then one more from Pennsylvania, 2,250. Let's do that. Right. One more. I'd bring California boys in with the gold, right? Why not? Let's do 1,500, or no. These will be artillerymen. Let's do a smaller battery for the division. Light and light, good and good. Do that. Hancock will be the 5th Corps. And then we'll transfer Reynolds artillery and Hobson. See, that's the problem you run into. You don't have enough. You don't have enough officers. You can do a major shakeup and promote a whole bunch of brigadiers into divisional command. I'm just not sure that we're there yet. And we do not have enough recruits right now to swell the ranks in a really, really, really big way. But I wanted to do that for the Army of Northeastern Virginia at the very least. Bring it back up to 5 times. 5 times a lady. Appreciate everybody who's been tuning in tonight. Mighty fine. Mighty fine. Hey, would you look at that? Some of the Rebs got moved off that way. Now they're going to be coming, looks like. I think we ought to meet them. Let's go. The Army of the West will be in battle once more. Yeah, we'll defend. Against Price's Corps, which 10 guns now. With 17,000 men, 15,000 effectives, it looks like. That's what we'll be coming up against here. Glad to have this army well supplied, heading into the attack. Again, probably going to get the P Ridge map. We'll see. This has been the main through November, heading into this late autumn, early winter period. This has been a main theater out here in Missouri. Here we go. Before, I think I can't remember, the Battle of Fayetteville. Cavalry's going to back up. Army of West Tennessee. We're just going to have to play pretend on that. They're not the Army of West Tennessee. They're the Army of West. They're our Army of the Army of the West for the Confederates. You know, So my army's, got a little morale issue. Okay. Could be a decent little battle right here. Could be a decent little one. We'll see about it here. Just recapping things, we've got the Army of the West that has come southwest to engage Price's corps of the Army of West Tennessee that has managed to seek refuge in Oklahoma before trying to impose itself on Arkansas once more. We'll be playing this one for sure. We won't be calling this one Fayetteville again. We'll call it something else. Now we've got General Jenkins. Looks like Price is out. Well, it's Jenkins in command of the Army. Very well. Yep, P Ridge once more. Bingo. With 2 objectives. Just about the same as we had last time over here in this area. So in an effort to try to fight in a different area, I may push out a ways. Let's see. We may push out all out around Leetown. We had the battle kind of around here last time. The very, very first time we fought, or the second, I think it was here and then here. And then now maybe we do a battle that happens more, maybe more here is what we'll look at doing there. Boom. Bring the army out. Have it ready. For now, though, I'm going to save it. Ha! A little cliffhanger there, guys. Thank you again for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel. Alternate History Gaming with me, Bank 60s. And if you wouldn't mind becoming a member, just $2 a month, man. It's all it'll take. Help me continue to move this channel forward. Buy better lighting and other things that will make it look just that much better going out to folks on the interwebs. You could jump in on the thing I'd mentioned before about if you wanted to try me on a $20 membership for the chance to go with a 1v1 in Scourge of War and play multiplayer and then get your membership money back if you win, that is something I'm going to talk more about with guys. That would be pretty cool if we did that, made it work. Maybe we bring the price down to something else that's a little bit more friendly than $20. We can discuss that as a community, of course, here on the channel. Appreciate you once more, guys. I'll see you on the next stream. We'll be fighting this battle in